guys like the intro. It took me quite a while to film that, but here's the build. You're basically just going to be maxing out maximum cooldown reduction. If you don't want to use the 10% cooldown ring, you just swap it out for concoction for that 10%. You can do whatever you want, but generally speaking, it doesn't matter what guns you have or your weapon. You're basically just going to be using your skills the whole time. Quick draw is going to be the main attack here. You can use whatever turret, and I get into that at the end of the video. If you want to stick around to see the difference between the impact and the flame cannon, do that. Here, we're just doing skill damage, some survivability stuff. That crit damage increases your gunslinger gunshot because it always crits. Getting that skill cooldown is important. And the legendary perk, which basically doubles the effectiveness of your skill cooldown. So it's basically that simple. 10% skill damage, 10% crit damage, because that increases the damage, and of course the cooldown. So I have max amount of cooldown, which is 80%, and from the core trait I get an extra 20%. So at 80% plus the perk, you'll get 90% cooldown. And I'm just showing you some of the stuff here, like my damage reduction, healing, standard stuff like health regeneration, better health regeneration, health, cast speed, movement speed. I always like movement speed to just help with getting away from enemies and stuff. As I said, max health, life leech. If you don't have the life leech, you can just get more defensives or whatever you want, whatever you usually like to take. You can use concoctions, as I've said, if you want to use the 10% skill cooldown instead of that ring, as I said. This would be the concoction you'd be using. You can use more attack damage or whatever if you want to swap it out for the black pawn stamp. You don't really need this. You can change it with the concoction and use something else. So I do 7,000 damage here, and I think with the, I just put on a 15% damage ring. Where is it? I think the Scoilist or whatever. I don't know how to say it. Scoilist. Anyway, with this on it, you'll be doing, I think it's like what is it? 600 more damage, which is considerable. Especially when you take into consideration that you'll be getting more bonuses if you're doing boss rush. But here, I'm going to go straight into the boss rush with the bosses and then the aberrations after that. If you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to ask in the comments. If you have any questions about any builds I've made, feel free to comment and I'll help you break it down even more if you need help with it. Some of these builds can be pretty complex with how they work, or maybe you're missing something. Totally feel free to comment. No judgment. I'll help you out with anything. And I want to thank everybody for watching all these videos. Super appreciate it. I'd like to maybe do this full time if I'm able to. If you guys like this content, keep watching, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. You keep liking, I'll keep making videos. I will be doing more content. I won't just be doing Remnant content. I will also be doing something like Ready or Not content, maybe some Helldivers 2 content. I'm going to be playing a lot of different games and doing a lot of different things and what I think is good or bad. Like and subscribe if you like to see this stuff or want to see more. If you want to see more of me trying various games, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks again.
That's odd.
All right, into some testing. I'm just going to be testing out the turrets here. Realistically, the first turret's the best turret overall. Try to go around with it. As you can see, it's not going to be doing a lot of more DPS. It's just nice to be able to clear out ads more effectively. Most of the time, you're going to be clearing out a lot of things just with your Gunslinger ability, and you really don't need the turret, but it's just a little bit boost of damage. The reason why I am rocking Engineer is simply because it just grants the most skill damage, which increases your Gunslinger ability. For the fire turret, it is the highest damage, and it's really good for clearing ads. But the issue with it is that all of your turrets have friendly fire damage, and that's something that should be noted. You can kind of use whatever turret you want. This one has less range, I believe, so you're not going to be hitting targets that are super far away, and sometimes it's line of sight because it kind of lobs the damage. And as you can see, like, there's friendly fire damage, so that's something to keep in consideration when picking this. Technically, there's friendly fire for all of them except the last one, but generally speaking, it's important to know that this will hurt you and can potentially kill you. It's not like it's like that much damage, but if you are hit by something and then this shoots at the target you're near and then you end up dying, it does kind of suck. So the first turret kind of is still the best turret overall. It may not be the best at clearing, and as you can see, like, the first turret can still friendly fire you, but it's much more clear in who it's hitting and where it's shooting. And obviously the last turret is the best for not doing friendly fire, and it's probably the best for clearing out ads that are really close to you, since it does a big burst of AoE. It also staggers targets, which is really important to note. But you wouldn't be using this when you're fighting a boss. You'd probably use one of the other two turrets, and if you just don't want to think about it, just pick the first turret. It's the best one. Pretty hard to go wrong with the first turret. Oh, and it's very easy to swap between each turret because you have such high cooldown. If you want to change it in between bosses, you can totally change it. It's really easy. Now, I'm showing this clip simply for the example of knowing that when you are suppressed, which is this little bar building up, when that reaches maximum, it halves your skill cooldown reduction and your mod generation. So you'll note that I'm doing fine right here, right now, for now. I was just doing a little testing and trying out the build and such, and seeing where it might be weak or whatever. But it is imperative that whenever you get suppressed, just like this right now, because I always forgot like what suppressed is, I kind of just never really worried about it. But suppressed is absolutely a killer of this build. And if you have suppressed on, you need its curative. Make sure you have it on your bar. I was right here, I was trying to figure out where it was so I could try to hear myself. But if you notice my gunslinger cooldown, it is not regenerating very fast. It is going so slow. I have like basically half the amount. Here it's funny with what I really thought. I was like, oh hey, like I did my concoction run out and I had 10% cooldown reduction. I was experimenting with not running a certain ring or whatever to get maximum cooldown reduction. But here, I didn't realize the 50% negation of suppressed gives you negative 50% cooldown reduction. And by give, I mean like it takes away your cooldown reduction, so things take longer to cool down. So always make sure you have your curative, the curing, suppressed. Otherwise you're going to have a really bad time. I actually ended up having to resort to using my gun because I didn't know what was going on. I thought I had equipped it, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I gotta kill this boss with my guns, because I had it as a backup, but... Also, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe this was without the cooldown reduction, and that's something to note. I was seeing if I could dig him here. See if it did damage, but it doesn't. So make sure you're not suppressed whenever you're playing this build, otherwise it can be a severe issue for dealing damage. It essentially ruins the whole entire build if you cannot use your skills, as this is a skill build. Alright, that's it for the video. Thanks again. Make sure to like and subscribe.